tonight's lazy meal, we're camping with some friends at Kerr Lake, and they brought their boat and took us out boating. So we were going to be nice and fix them dinner. So we're making a low country boil, which is pretty simple to cook. You take your red potatoes, chop them up, and so in the water we have a pot boiling with Zatarain's crawfish, shrimp, and crab boil bag. It's already got all the seasonings in there. So we're just going to add this to it very carefully so that I don't get burnt. Last one out of the pot. Then we have some andouille sausage. All different kinds. You get whatever you want. That kind was on sale, so that's what we went with. As far as ingredients and how much, it kind of depends on how many people you're feeding. We're feeding about 8, so we went with 3 pounds of potatoes and 3 packages of sausage and about 2 ears of corn apiece. Now ours is frozen, so we're going to go ahead and put it in now. Normally we would wait a little while. Okay, let's try that a different way. When you're cutting the sausage and the potatoes, try to make sure that everything's the same size so it cooks thoroughly. So right now we're going to put the lid back on and wait for that to start boiling. And in a little while we'll add the shrimp and dinner will be ready. Alright, so while it's cooking, make sure you use a towel or something. Grab your lid, because that metal lid gets hot. And you want to stir it every 4 or 5 minutes or so. We got a good boil going. And also cooking, we're using a turkey fryer that I've got. I've never fried a turkey with, but I've done this a bunch with it. And kind of just want to wait and see when the potatoes get tender.
Not quite.
And be careful because they're hot. And just give it a stir every few minutes to make sure the stuff on the bottom doesn't burn.
Don't use your fingers. Use a fork.
I don't have a fork. I went with what I had.
Don't reach your hand into a boiling pot. Please don't do that. That would be unsafe.
I suggest using something other than a beach towel, but we were on the lake on the boat, so we have these ready available, but the beach towel is really too big.
Y'all would love smell of it.
So what we want to check is we want to catch a potato and just make sure it's, fork tender like that. It falls apart when you press the fork in. You can also do the same thing with the corn on the cob and just, check and make sure it's easy to poke the kernels with the fork. Like that. Nice and simple and easy. When it is, you're ready for the shrimp. So we got this from a local shrimp market or seafood market. They have other stuff besides shrimp. And we are using jumbo shrimp. Or this was large shrimp, sorry. They also had jumbo. But we went for the large. And as you see, when it's raw, it's still kind of translucent. It has that white color to it. When you put it in, as soon as it turns pink, it's done. So put everything, make sure it gets in the water. And as you see, some of that is already turning pink.
Yeah, halfway done.
So it does not take long at all for the shrimp to cook. If you let it cook too long, it gets tough and it's hard to eat. but I have no idea what the temperature is of this water, but it's really hot. So again, just let it get a pink all the way through. Will not take long for the shrimp. Put the lid on, let that cook for a few seconds. Alright, so I've already turned the heat off, or the gas off, because the water's still hot enough, the shrimp is still cooking. As you see, it's now a nice pink color. The meat has turned white, so that shrimp is done. So what I'm going to do, if you have a strainer, great, use that. I do not, so I'm using the lid. And here the beach towel will probably come in handy. Because I can use the lid as a strainer. I'm going to pour it all into this nice cheap bucket.
You're going to pour the liquid in. You're going to keep the good stuff.
How hot? And there you have it. Oh, I still got more water left. We'll see if I can drain that bit out too. Stop it. So now that everything is completely drained, I'm going to add some Old Bay. Old Bay is great seafood seasoning. And some garlic powder. Just because we like garlic and hate vampires. There. Now I'm going to put the lid back on. Hopefully. And shake it up. And try to spread the seasoning around while I get the seafood sauna. Okay. It's as good as it's going to get. Also, since we're in a campground, you have the nice bucket of water here. Make sure you dispose of it properly. If you have a septic, pour it down the septic. Just don't throw it somewhere off in the campsite so that you attract all kinds of critters during the night. Thank you. Oh, watch out! This is gonna be rough. Whoa! Cold. Okay, today's lazy RV drinking episode. We're having one of my favorite cocktails. It's the Kentucky Mule. So we're gonna make some of these. take your favorite bourbon, whiskey, whichever. I like Makers, so I'm using that. And it's 2 parts of Makers. And while I'm pouring, the proper drink for this is the, ignore me spilling, the copper mug you see there. However, you can mix it in whatever you want. So it's 2 parts of bourbon. Then it says your lime juice, or if you're really fancy, you can, squeeze your own limes. And it's a half part, so get as close as I can. With that, and then a dash of bitters. This is the orange bitters. We got that just to try it. So my dashes are a little heavy. Then we got ice. It helps if you have an ice maker in your camper. These are great. You can pick them up for under $100. Always nice to have ice while camping. And then we top it off with some ginger beer. Cheers.